Are we sitting down? Are we comfy? Hi everyone, I'm Lizzie and I am an artist and an illustrator from Lizzie Martell Illustration, and I wanted to show you today, while you're all in lockdown and you're probably sat at home wondering what to do, a cute little tutorial of how to draw a narwhal. So this is the little narwhal that I'm going to teach you how to draw. Narwhals look like this in real life, and if you're going to illustrate them, they could look like this. So what you're going to need is you're going to need to have with you a pen. Now I have a fancy art pen and it's a Uni Pin Fineliner. However, you don't need a fancy pen. You need perhaps a felt tip pen or some kind of biro or anything really that's a fine liner for our outline. So we're going to, first of all, we're going to draw an outline just like these ones here. We're going to draw the outline, and then what we're going to do is we're going to colour it in. So we can either use watercolours like I have here, and these ones were used by my fancy watercolours, and they are Winsor Newton special fancy artist watercolours, which if you've got, fantastic, but if you haven't got that, do not worry, because you can also use sort of any old cheap paints that will sort of paint, and that's okay. These are my daughters and they're absolutely fine, and actually this one here has been coloured in with these, so you can get pretty much a similar effect. So don't worry if you've only got these kind of paints and not these kind of paints. So you can also not use paint at all, and you can use your pens or you can use your crayons or anything you really want to do to colour it in. But first of all, let's get started with your outline. So I'm going to teach you how to do an outline of a narwhal. Before I do, this is an art class for you, and if you want to draw your narwhal as a cute little chubby narwhal, a long skinny narwhal, a narwhal here who's smiling with a cute little face, or this one here who's got a bit of a tummy, then that's okay, because this is your art class, and so you can choose to do your narwhal just however you'd like. So first you're going to start off, and I really wouldn't use a pencil unless you really want to, because we're not aiming to rub this out. It doesn't matter how it turns out in the end. The fact is you're going to have a good go and have fun doing it. So how I drew my narwhal is I kind of think his body looks a little bit like a sausage. So you've got like a real squashed sausage that's skinny on one end and then a bit bigger on the other. So we're going to start off by drawing a very long body. So like this, and you can make it however you want, it doesn't really matter, but you're going to draw your round head and then you're going to stop. So you're going to draw half a sausage, and then if you want to you can do a little fin here, or you can keep your sausage going right till the other end, but let's do a little fin like I have here. So you can do your little fin, that's it, and then you can keep going with your sausage right from the other side. That's it. Now I've got a bit of a tummy going on mine, and he's got a nice round head. So you should have a very long sausage body with a little fin. And when you've done that, we can do his eye. So you can choose to draw a little character in your eye, and you could do an eye here, or you can do an eyelash. You can do eyebrows. Let's make him a really cute little narwhal that's got a bit of character, and I think he's got to have a smiley face, so mine's going to have a smiley face. So add your little character into your narwhal so he feels like he's your friend already. That's it. And then you're going to draw a tail. So when you draw your tail, you're going to, it's going to look a little bit like, let me give you a close-up of this. You're going to do it so you've got a flick out and a flick down. But it doesn't massively matter what your tail looks like, as long as you do two parts to your tail and it attaches to the very skinny part of your sausage, which is going to be his tail. So I'm going to draw a big, round, flicky tail. And you can either join it in or you can leave it there and continue on the second bit. There you go. And then you can draw your second part. And there's his tail. Can you see that? Let's pop him back over there so you can see. There we go, so we've got a round tail here, round tail there. And yeah, so once you've done your tail and your fin and your smile and your eye, there's only one thing left, and that is the narwhal's horn. So we mustn't forget that. Now this is kind of a fun part to do. You don't have to do it like this at all. You can just do a long point, just like a unicorn's horn. You can just do a long, strong point for your narwhal's horn. Or you can do lots of little jumpy bumps like I have, just to make it look a little bit more kind of 3D. So I'm going to do a jumpy bumpy one. So if you're going to do a jumpy bumpy one, you're going to go semicircle, 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 and you could do quite a few of them as long as you like. You can make it as long as you like, or you could do a little one. And when you've done your semicircles, you turn it around to make the end of your point, and then you get to do another semicircle underneath the point of your other ones. There you go. So you could do more semicircles. Has everyone got that? I think so. I hope I've explained it okay. So there's lots of semicircles up and lots of semicircles back. And then you can draw some lines down the middle to make your point and your horn for your narwhal look a little bit more like a twisty unicorn horn. Because actually, you know, they're like the unicorns are the fish, the narwhals. And then when you've done your outline, that's your cue to either colour it in, paint it, or you can do crayons, or you could do whatever you want. And because this is your narwhal in your head, you can do it whatever colour you like. So narwhals are actually probably a little bit like that in real life. They're a bit grey and a little bit murky, and they reflect the blue of the water. So I've done my slightly boring narwhal just the same as a normal narwhal. But let's do a really colourful, pretty narwhal. Maybe we could do a purple one, or you could do a pink one, or you could do whatever colour you fancy. So today I'm going to mix up my colours. I think I'm going to do a purpley pink narwhal. So I'm going to take my purple. Where's my purple? Here we go. Mix it in. And I feel like I might make my purple a little bit more blue than that, because we are talking about a narwhal, but you can choose whatever colour you want. So when you've got lots of paint on your brush, make sure you use lots of water too, because if you're using watercolours, if you're not using watercolours, maybe use less water. And the paper I'm using, I forgot to say, is watercolour paper. But as I showed you before, I actually just drew here. This one here is actually just wallpaper paper. It was all I could find, because funnily enough, I don't actually have a lot of paper. But this is actually on wallpaper paper, and it actually works just fine. So you can, whatever paper you've got, fine. But if you're using normal paper, don't use perhaps as much water. So once you've loaded your paintbrush up with lots of lovely paint, you can start. Now I would start by painting the bottom of his body. So this is this part here. And the good thing about watercolour is you can spread it by adding water. So I'm going to use more water and spread out my paint all across my narwhal's body. And I'm using it quite quickly so that the water doesn't dry out. If you see, I'm adding more and more water, a little bit of my paint, just a little bit. And he's got a lovely soft light purple all over his body. Now the good thing about watercolours is you can keep layering and get some really cool effects. So I've done the top half and I've left his bottom part of his body a little bit white, because I want that to look a little bit 3D. And if I leave a little bit of white at the bottom, it gives him a little bit of depth. So once I've done my purple, I think I'm going to add a bit of blue. And I'm going to add a bit more purple, a bit more blue, and add a bit of a darker colour. And then I'm going to go again. So I'm going to use my purple on top of my first layer. And you can see that the wet paint underneath is mixing with the paint that you're just painting on top. And then you can kind of see, if you keep adding to the top of your narwhal on his body, just keep adding the paint, you can see it's got a lovely kind of mix with the bottom colour that you added. That's it. Now what I'm going to do here is add a little bit of water down here, and I want to add to his fin, because his fin would be on the top part of his body, wouldn't it? That's it. So we've got a narwhal and a fin on his body. And then what I'm going to do, so this is how I created the texture on this one, is I'm going to do let it dry for a few seconds, and then I'm going to start doing dabs. And dabs are these. Dab, 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 dab. Like lots of little spots all over his body. Because as the paint dries, you're going to get darker patches in those dabby parts. So you might want to add a little bit more paint to your brush, and you could choose a different colour. I might choose a bit of pink to add to my blue, to make it even more of a pinky purple. And then I'm going to add that pinky purple on as dobs at the top of my narwhal. And you can see that colour there. Doesn't matter how you do it, where you put it, as long as you're having fun. And that narwhal's got, whoops, you see, made a bit of a mess. And it actually doesn't matter. I believe, like, if you're making a mistake, it's good, because it means it's different. It's cool to make mistakes, because it makes it look, something cool might come out of that mistake I just made there. So I'm dabbing, 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 dabbing. And you can see that there's a kind of speckled effect that's coming on his body. And I can even add a bit more blue and go again with my speckles. So you can do as many speckles on that wet paint as you like to make your narwhal look all speckledy. Now I've let this bit dry by accident because I was talking. So I'm going to add a little bit more water to that area, and then I'm going to do more speckles. Oops. I keep adding a little bit of paint so that when I do my speckles, it comes up a little bit thicker on the darker parts, and it shows up really clearly on his body. And you can see we've got a bit of a speckled effect going on, and it's looking kind of under the sea and very narwhal-y. There you go. And I'm liking the look of that, so I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm going to paint his tail. So I'm going to take a little bit more of a paler bit of paint, and I'm going to use some water, and I'm going to just colour in using my paintbrush and paint. Although if you've got crayons, go for it. If you're using crayons, you can still do the layer effect, and you can just do lots of layers of different crayons. Or you can just have fun and not do layers with your felt tip pens. So there you go. And I like to leave a little bit of white in my paintings when I do illustrations, just because of the way it gives a bit of depth to your illustration. It makes it feel a little bit 3D. Whoopsie. Oh dear, see, we've got another problem, another mistake, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. In fact, it looks a bit more like he's under the sea. There you go. And like I say, it doesn't matter how it comes out, as long as you're having fun. So when you've done your tail, you can do more speckles or you can not. But I feel like doing a few pale, very little bit of, lots of water and a little bit of paint, very few speckles down here on his tummy, just to show that he's got some markings on his tummy, like that. There we go. And that looks quite cute. I really like my narwhal. And then, of course, the horn. So, pretending he's a unicorn narwhal, I'm going to make it a little bit more exciting and not real world-like. And I'm going to add a bit more pink. He's going to have a pinky horn. He is going to have a pinky horn, why not? And here we go. And so I'm going to just take each little horn section and paint it at a time, and that way I leave a little bit of white at the bottom, and it makes it look a little bit more 3D, like that. There you go. And you can keep building layers, and how I like to work with watercolours is you do layer one, and you can either let it dry or let it go wet, and where you do wet on wet, you can get some really cool effects. Look, can you see? With the splodges. And your narwhal, so like we've made a bit of a mistake here, but what I think we're going to do is not make it a mistake, but add some under the sea effect with it. So I'm going to use my pen and I'm going to make these some bubbles. And it makes it look like the water's really just going splish splosh all around the bubbles. And it just makes it a bit more fun. So maybe you could put your narwhal in the water. You could put him under the sea. You could do some waves. Maybe he's on the top of the sea. You can do some seaweed. So you could do some wiggly seaweed and just have fun wiggling your pen around. It doesn't matter what your seaweed looks like. It might not even be like seaweed that you really see under the sea. It might be a seaweed from your imagination. But you can do some really fun seaweeds. There we go. Like this is my really wiggly seaweed. Ta-da! And you can colour it in or you can leave it black and white. You can make your bubbles green, why not? Or any other colour you fancy. Let your imaginations go a little bit wild, because we can always have green bubbles, why not? And you can have blue, see? And you don't have to stay inside the lines. In fact, it's almost better if you don't stay inside the lines, because then it's a bit more exciting. Ta-da! And you can just add to your picture, and you could paint him in the sea, or you can paint him wherever you want. You can paint him flying through the sky if you'd like to. You could do a shipwreck, or you could do under the sea diver, or you could paint and draw whatever you fancy for your narwhal. But the cool thing is this a speckled effect, and you can keep adding to that. Even when it's dry, you could add some extra little dots however you want, just to make it a little bit more exciting and have a bit more depth. That's it. So just enjoy doing your dots, and don't worry about what it looks like at the end. Don't worry about if you feel you've done it right or you've done it wrong or it doesn't look like a narwhal. You know it's a narwhal. And that's the most important thing, is that you're having fun when you're doing it. So I hope you enjoyed painting a narwhal and learning how to draw one. I hope it was clear and easy for you to follow. If you enjoyed it, just give me a little like and let me know what you'd like to paint next time, and I'll try and do another video. I hope you enjoyed thinking up all the places that your narwhal could be, and if it's underwater or in the sky or wherever you decided to put your narwhal. I hope you enjoyed painting it.
And if you're painting a unicorn,
yes.
like I like unicorn.
Oh yes.
And one day you can turn yourself into a unicorn, and someone can ride you.
That is the advice from my 3-year-old daughter who wants to be a unicorn. So if you've painted a narwhal unicorn, I would love to see it. Have fun, enjoy painting, and see you soon.